What's up, my YouTube friends? It's Richard, founder of Short-Term Rental University and Airbnb Superhost. I really want you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel right here, right now, because hopefully you find a lot of value in these videos and learning and content, and we want more people to be attracted to it and learn and grow and benefit our entire community. So please go ahead and subscribe. Today's video is about 30-day rentals in New York City, regulations, impact, pricing, and what I've learned moving to 30-day rentals. So let's go back and give you a little bit of a backstory. Airbnb is supposed to be short-term rentals, nightly rentals, and so on. We all know regulation is really critically important today in 2019, and it's evolving and it's changing, and New York City is one of the more strict areas. There's a lot of strict areas in the country, so I'm going to be talking about New York City because that's what I'm familiar with, but this same sort of logic and thought may benefit you whether you're any other place that's highly regulated as well. So in order to comply with New York City law, you can't rent out an Airbnb property for less than 30 days. So it is short-term relative to a 12-month lease, right? 1 month is shorter than 12 months, but it's not 1 night or 3 nights or 5 nights, which is what most of us think about when we think about Airbnb. I'm filming this right now from what was my family home. I used to live here in this apartment with my family, and we used to rent the downstairs as an Airbnb, which was perfectly legal while we lived here. And there was a period where we forgot to change the settings. We were unaware of the implications, and we got a very small fine. We settled that. It was absolutely no big deal, but it brought to our attention that we needed to now modify this to the 30-day law, and so we've done that. And so I want to film this video and tell you my impressions of what 30-day minimums have been, both for me running my business, the financial implications, and hopefully help you decide whether you want to launch an Airbnb in a highly regulated area that may have nightly minimum stays. Initially, I went to short-term rentals on Airbnb because I thought I could make more money versus the 12-month lease, and that turned out to be true. In fact, we made between 2 and 3 times more money on a short-term rental versus a 12-month lease, and so that was great. But when we moved out and we had to move to the 30-day rentals, I didn't know what to think, and I thought about maybe going back to the long-term market. I hired a broker, they came, they inspected, they did their photos, they gave me what they thought we would make, and it just seemed so low because, again, I was making like 2 and 3 times more. So I thought about maybe trying the 30-day rental. Like, are people coming to New York for 30 days or more? Do they need a fully furnished place? And what would the market bear? And what I found is it's still much higher than the 12-month lease. It's about 50%. So it's not 2x and it's not 3x, but it's about 50% more. However, calendar management becomes much more important. On a short-term rental, you can have a 2-day window or a 3-day window or even a week window where it's not booked, and it doesn't really matter because the other 3 weeks might be booked. But now when you're doing monthly, if you have somebody that was here, say, all of April, and they move out April 30th, and somebody else has made a reservation June 15th or something in the future, you only have like a 6-week window, and somebody must take 4 of those 6 weeks. So it's quite possible that that entire 6-week window becomes the vacancy. If that's in fact the case, then the 50% bump up in rent is illusory because you have 45 days of vacancy. So I haven't done this long enough to know whether I actually will come out 50% ahead or 30 or 20 or not at all. But so far, there's so much demand that even with the 30-day restriction, I haven't had those vacancy gaps yet. I anticipate I will have a period where it's vacant. I just haven't been there yet. And that's the big takeaway. The money seems like it's worth it, 50% bump up versus long-term rentals, a lot more flexibility. There is more wear and tear, there is more work. It's still worth it for me personally. But if it turns out that I take a reservation 3 or 4 months forward and then I can't take other reservations because they don't fit in the window, and I now suddenly have 1 month vacant or 3 months vacant, well, there goes that potential bump up, and then it's not worth it. And then I'll switch to a 12-month rental. So again, in the interest of full disclosure, this wasn't my game plan. This property is for sale. I will probably take this money, 1031 it into a better investment property that is Airbnb friendly. So I'm just sort of managing my circumstances as best as possible. I wouldn't be buying the downstairs unit to Airbnb on 30-day rentals, but if I already own it and I'm contemplating long-term versus 30 days, I'm testing the 30 days. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'd love to hear comments below. Do you currently own and operate in very regulated markets? What are the rules? What are the restrictions? What have you done to comply with the law and yet run your business profitably? What can we all learn from one another? I would really appreciate a thumbs up and a like on the channel, subscribe, and we hope to see you over at the Facebook group. Thanks, friends.